They call this place the Spire of Eternal Bloom. To the galaxy, it is a paradise. A technological marvel grown from crystal and living wood, orbiting the blue giant of the Xylos system. The air is filtered through millions of genetically modified orchids. The water tastes like sweet nectar. The gravity is adjusted to a gentle, floating embrace. It is a world without sharp edges, without dirt, and without death. Unless, of course, you are me. My name is Kael. I am a human. And in the eyes of the Sylvari, the tall, elegant, plant-based demigods who built this station, I am not a resident. I am an infestation. I woke up this morning to the sound of the ventilation fans humming. My quarters are in the sub-basement, Sector 9. It's the only place on the station where they allow unrefined atmosphere. It smells of stale recycled air and engine grease. It smells like home. I pulled on my undersuit. It was gray, worn at the elbows, and smelled of sweat. Then came the heavy outer shell. The Mark IV environmental isolation suit. 50 pounds of lead-lined rubber and reinforced glass. Most people wear suits to protect themselves from space. I wear a suit to protect space from me. As I walked to the mess hall, I passed a group of Sylvari diplomats. They were beautiful, I'll give them that. Their skin shimmered like polished jade, and their hair moved on its own, like vines seeking the sun. But as soon as my heavy boots clanked on the floor, they stopped. They pressed scented handkerchiefs to their faces, even though my suit was hermetically sealed. The walking compost, one of them whispered. The universal translator in my ear picked it up clearly. Careful, another laughed, a sound like wind chimes. Don't get too close. Mammals carry parasites. I heard they consume dead flesh to survive. I kept walking. I gripped the handle of my toolbox until my knuckles turned white inside my gloves. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them that my ancestors built the engines that keep their precious garden spinning. I wanted to tell them that while they were pruning flowers, humans were conquering asteroids. But I didn't. I am a level 1 waste handler. If I speak out of turn, I get ejected out of the airlock. So I just lowered my head and marched to the waste processing unit. My job today was to clear a blockage in the Royal Hydroponic sector. The roots of the Great Mother Tree were clogging the filtration pipes. It was dirty, back-breaking work. For 4 hours, I was knee-deep in sludge, hacking away at rotting vegetation while the Sylvari overseers watched from behind a glass wall, looking bored. They hate us because we are messy. We bleed. We sweat. We age. We are chaos in their world of order. But they tolerate us because we are durable. When a radiation leak happens, a Sylvari dies in minutes. A human? We just get a headache and keep working. We are the cockroaches of the galaxy. And sometimes, you need a cockroach to do the things a butterfly cannot. I didn't know it then, but today, the cockroach was going to save the world. It happened during my lunch break. I was sitting in a maintenance alcove near the royal nursery, eating a protein bar that tasted like sawdust and chocolate. The alarm didn't wail. Sylvari alarms are subtle. The lights shifted from a calming white to a throbbing, violent violet. A psychic pulse hit my brain, a sense of overwhelming panic broadcast by the station's organic core. Breach. Withering. Breach. I dropped my food. I grabbed my heavy wrench and ran toward the viewing deck. The royal nursery is the heart of Xylos. It is a vast, domed chamber filled with golden light, where the seedlings of the next generation are grown. In the center, in a pot made of diamond and sap, was the sapling princess. She was the only offspring of the High Queen this century. But the nursery wasn't golden anymore. It was turning gray. Through the reinforced safety glass, I saw the attackers. 3 of them. They weren't soldiers. They were pure root extremists. Fanatics who believed that the station had become weak by interacting with other species. They wanted to cleanse it. and they had brought the ultimate cleaning agent. On the floor, a silver canister was spinning, hissing violently. Thick, oily, purple smoke was pouring out of it. It moved unnaturally, clinging to the floor, seeking out life. "The Black Blight," I whispered, my blood running cold. I had read about it in the hazard manuals. It wasn't a poison in the traditional sense. It was a necrofungal spore, a biological weapon designed specifically to attack plant cellular structures. It accelerated entropy a million times over. It didn't just kill plants, it turned them into sludge. Inside the room, the chaos was absolute. 2 royal guards, warriors made of iron bark who could withstand laser fire, charged the canister. It was horrific. The moment the purple fog touched their legs, they didn't fall. They disintegrated. I watched, helpless, as their legs turned to gray ash. They collapsed, screaming silently as the rot spread up their torsos. In less than 10 seconds, 2 of the finest warriors in the galaxy were reduced to puddles of black compost on the pristine floor. The extremists who threw the bomb didn't fare much better. The gas ate through their flimsy biomasks and consumed them just as quickly. The room fell silent. Except for one sound, a high-pitched, terrified whimpering. In the far corner, trapped behind the jammed blast door, was the princess. The system had gone into lockdown. The blast doors had slammed shut to contain the infection, but the mechanism had jammed halfway. She was trapped inside the death chamber. The gas was heavy. It was spreading slowly across the floor, creeping towards her pod like a living predator. I slammed my fist against the glass. Central. Central Command. "Do you copy?" I screamed into my radio. "This is Command," a voice replied. It was shaky. Terrified. "Unlock the nursery. The princess is trapped." "Negative," the voice said. "Sensors detect black blight. Containment protocols are absolute. If we open the door, the spores will enter the ventilation. The entire station will die. So you're just going to let her melt?" I roared. "She is already dead, human. The room is lost. Retreat to the escape pods." The link clicked dead. I stared at the girl. She was curled up in a ball, her glowing skin dimming with fear. She looked at the glass. She looked right at me. I saw my own reflection in the glass. A bulky, ugly, gray figure. A monster. But she didn't see a monster. She saw hope. I looked at the gas. It killed the Sylvari instantly because they have no immune system against it. Their cells are open, porous. But I am human. My cells are walled fortresses. My ancestors survived the Black Plague, the Spanish flu, and the Chem Wars of 2099. We are made of scar tissues and stubbornness. Would the gas kill me? Probably. Would it kill me fast enough to stop me? I didn't think so. "Stupid," I muttered to myself. "Kael, you are so stupid." I jammed my industrial wrench into the gap of the blast door. I braced my boots against the wall. I pulled. My muscles screamed. The hydraulics whined in protest. With a roar of primal effort, I forced the doors apart. The seal broke. The hiss of the escaping gas sounded like a snake striking. I stepped into the fog. The first thing I noticed was the smell. My suit was rated for vacuum and radiation. But the black blight was acidic. It smelled like copper and rotting meat. My heads-up display lit up with red warnings. Warning. Integrity compromised. Outer shell dissolving. I could hear it. Sizzle. Pop. The sound of the spores eating into the rubber of my suit. It was like standing in a gentle rain, if the rain was made of concentrated sulfuric acid. I ran to the princess. "Get up!" I barked, my voice amplified by the suit's speakers. She looked at me, paralyzed. I didn't have time for diplomacy. I grabbed her. She was light, lighter than a human child. I ripped off my heavy, fire-resistant outer cloak and wrapped her in it. I bundled her tight, sealing the fabric so no air could get in. "Don't breathe," I told her. "No matter what happens, do not breathe." I looked at the canister. It was still spraying. The pressure in the room was rising. If I left it here, it would eventually eat through the floor, or the pressure would blow the vents. The command was right. If this gas got out, everyone died. There was no off switch on a weapon like this. There was only one way to stop the leak. I had to plug it. I grabbed the canister. It was hot. Vibrating. I pulled it against my chest. I hugged it. I pressed the spraying nozzle directly into the thick rubber chest plate of my suit. The flow stopped. Or rather, it stopped spraying into the room. Now, it was spraying directly into me. "Airlock," I gritted out. "Sector 4. 50 meters." I started to walk. Step 1. The suit held for exactly 3 seconds. Then, the chest plate gave way. It didn't feel like a burn. Not at first. It felt like cold water. A sudden, icy shock against my sternum. Then came the fire. I screamed. It was a raw, animal sound that tore my throat. The gas was eating my undersuit. It was eating my skin. It was burrowing into my pectoral muscles. Step 10. My boots began to fail. The floor was covered in the oily residue. The soles of my boots dissolved, and my feet touched the blight. Imagine walking on a floor made of razor blades and salt. Every step sent a bolt of white-hot agony up my legs. My nervous system was overloaded. It stopped sending pain signals and started sending shock signals. My vision blurred. I looked up. Beyond the glass walls of the corridor, I saw them. Hundreds of Sylvari. Nobles, guards, workers. They were watching. They pressed their hands against the glass. Their eyes were wide with horror. They weren't looking at a piece of trash anymore. They were looking at a demon. They saw a creature wreathed in purple smoke, holding death in his arms, walking when he should be dead. Step 20. I stumbled. One knee hit the floor. Crack. I think I broke my kneecap. Or maybe the acid had eaten the cartilage. The princess whimpered in my arms. "Quiet," I wheezed. My voice was wet. I could taste copper in my mouth. Blood. The toxins were in my lungs now. I was drowning in my own fluids. "Give up," a voice in my head whispered. "Just lie down. It hurts so much, just sleep." I thought about Earth. I thought about the mud. I thought about my grandfather, who worked in the coal mines. He used to say, "Boy, the only thing that kills a man is when he decides to die." I haven't decided yet. I am human, I roared. I forced my leg to straighten. I stood up. Blood poured from the vents of my helmet. It streaked down my suit, mixing with the black sludge. I took another step. Then another. I wasn't walking on muscle anymore. I was walking on sheer, spiteful willpower. Step 40. The airlock. It looked like the gate of heaven. I reached out with my free hand to hit the control panel. My glove had melted away. My hand was a red, skeletal ruin. My fingers looked like raw meat. I didn't have the strength to push the button. I slammed my forehead against the panel. Beep. The outer door hissed open. The vacuum of space roared, hungry and cold. The sudden pressure drop almost knocked me out. With the last ounce of strength in my body, I swung my arms. I threw the canister. It spun out into the black void, trailing purple smoke like a dying comet. I slammed the close button. The door sealed. The silence returned. I fell back against the wall. I slid down, leaving a thick smear of blood on the white metal. The bundle in my arms moved. The princess crawled out. She was untouched. Perfect. Glowing with life. She looked at me. I must have looked like a nightmare. My suit was gone. My chest was an open wound. My face was blistered. I tried to speak, to tell her it was okay, but all that came out was a bubble of blood. My heart gave one last, violent thump. And then, the lights went out. I didn't expect to wake up. When I did, I thought I was dead. I was floating in something warm, something thick and sweet, like honey. I opened my eyes. I was underwater. No, not water. Golden light. I was in a tank filled with the royal sap, the substance they used to grow their ships, to heal their kings. I panicked. I thrashed, trying to break the surface. The liquid drained away instantly. The glass walls retracted. I fell to my knees, gasping for air. The air smelled of jasmine. I looked down at my body. I was naked. The burns were gone. My skin was pink and new. But not all of it. On my chest, where the canister had pressed against me, there was a scar. It wasn't ugly scar tissue. It was black, hard, and jagged, like a piece of obsidian embedded in my flesh. It pulsed with a faint purple light, a permanent reminder of the death I had absorbed. Do not hide it. The voice was like thunder made of velvet. I looked up. I was in the throne room. And I was not alone. Thousands of them. The entire High Council. The Royal Guard legions. The commoners. They filled the vast hall, tier upon tier of glowing, plant-like beings. And standing in front of me was the High Queen herself. She was 10 feet tall, her skin like ancient oak, her eyes like nebulas. I scrambled to my feet, trying to cover my nakedness, trying to lower my head. I was just a waste handler. I shouldn't be here. Your Majesty, I croaked. I apologize for the mess. The Queen stepped forward. She didn't look at me with disgust. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Slowly, majestically, she bent her knees. She knelt. A collective gasp went through the hall. The Queen never kneels. Then the council knelt. Then the guards. Then the people. Within seconds, the entire station was bowing to the garbage man. We called you filth, the Queen said, her voice shaking with emotion. We called you weak because you bleed. Because you are made of meat and bone. She reached out. Her long, cool fingers touched the black scar on my chest. I flinched, but she didn't pull away. But we were wrong, Kael of Earth. Perfection is fragile. It breaks under pressure. She stood up and placed a hand on my shoulder. You are not a scavenger. You are a filter. You took the poison into your own blood so that we could breathe. You ate the death meant for my daughter. She turned to the crowd. From this day forward, let no one speak of the humans as unclean. They are the iron bark. They are the roots that hold the earth when the storm comes. She looked back at me. Rise, Kael, rise, the Blight-Eater. I stood there, a human in a room of gods. I looked at my hands. They were still rough. They were still scarred. I would never be beautiful like them. I would never be perfect. But as I walked out of that hall, the guards didn't cover their noses. They saluted. I took a deep breath. The air didn't smell like jasmine anymore. It smelled of life. And for the first time, I realized that maybe, just maybe, the garden needed the dirt just as much as the dirt needed the garden.